Hi, it's Michael. Let's get to the point. Today I'll be talking about two things. First one is, of course, what I said last week. There's going to be an interview with me and I'll try to convince you why it's really worth the effort to get control over your day. The second part is going to be about procrastination and I'll show you how I dealt with the problem myself. Okay, with the help of some people around me also. So, let's go. Normally, I'm quite skeptical when it comes to all these golden methods and stuff that is supposed to happen. So let me ask you a couple of questions and let's clear it up. The first question, let's roll out the big cannons. How do you manage open loops? Well, let me answer this question in a slightly different way. If you're watching this video because your day basically is a mess at this point, this is a huge chance because normally we start actually thinking about how do we fix the problems when they are basically in front of our faces. Then I'll suggest you two things. The first one is you have to slow down. If you don't slow down, nothing is going to change. And when you slow down, you will also have kind of like enough time to look around you and see what is happening. The second thing is you have to be prepared to accept everything that is going to happen once you slow down, because your ultimate goal before you start implementing anything in a longer scale is that you have actually a good starting point. And as it is in the software, before you start adding new features after a milestone or a release or something like that, you need to have a period which we called a feature freeze. Basically, this is then when you fix the bugs in your software and you try to get as stable version as possible. So this is exactly what I recommend. Slow down, clean up what you have right now, and be prepared to accept what is going to happen, because probably a lot of people are going to be unhappy, you're going to hear a lot of bad things and so on. But this is something you have to go through it. The sooner the better. If you just let things roll on its own, at some point, the problem is going to come back to you and it's going to be much worse than you think. So how do I manage open loops? This is exactly what I did. Slow down, clean up everything, and start with the method. Of course, you can already in the beginning start implementing the method, commit to a certain amount of work you can actually push. How much you can actually work without overstressing yourself. And just start fixing things as they go. Be proactive, prepare people around you that you're in the cleaning phase, there might be some delays and so on, because in the long run, this is not going to work. And yes, and then I showed in my previous video, I'm just using these two books and all the experience that comes from them, and it really works well for me. Will that actually work for me? Well, it's going to work for you, but you'll have to put some energy into it, because the method gives you guidelines. It gives you kind of like a framework. Now you have to mold it so that it fits to you. And sometimes some minuscule changes can actually affect your day in a big avalanche effect like way. So what I recommend, yes, it will work for you, but you have to actually put some energy. You have to test it out. And please remember, there is a strategy which is called fail fast. And this is also a way on how to find out how things are working or not working. Because yes, set up criteria for when it's a failure. And then when you fail, pivot. Basically, which means change your way of operating so that you can try a different strategy. Don't try to do the same thing over and over, because that's basically how you become mad. You mentioned the word Kanban. What does it actually mean? Well, Kanban just means a signboard. So obvious, like everything I'm saying in these videos, you could say. But the obvious stuff is actually the hardest, to be honest. Why is it so effective, especially when it's so simple? If I was supposed to answer this question with just one sentence, I would say the key thing to everything in managing and running your own day is the overview. Once you have the overview and you know exactly what your capacity looks like, and this is something you're going to learn with time, then you will see how effective it is. I mean, this is just going to work. Yes, Mr. But a list can also visualize tasks. Yes, you're right. A list can also visualize all the stuff you do, and of course you can have a list with headings and sections and stuff like that. But, and I know actually people that work according to lists, and they're extremely effective. But their list more or less is a Kanban in pieces, if I was supposed to kind of like nitpick around here. Basically, the Kanban works better for me because there I have my value stream, everything is visualized, and just by looking at it, I have an idea on what is going on in my project or what's going on with my day and stuff like that. So yes, the list can also work, but Kanban works better for me. And remember what I said, try out the stuff that works better for you. But remember, have some rules and follow some of the good things that come from Kanban. Try to kind of like smuggle them into your list idea. So it's gonna work. Okay, so how do I design my columns to get maximum out of it? This is actually a very important question, because a lot of people, when they have Kanbans and when they have lists with sections, they create sections like design, development, testing, release, whatever, and then they put the tasks in those sections. The problem is these sections don't create a value stream. You basically created, a number of lists where you just cram the tasks. These are categorizations. Your value stream has to be something that goes from this side to that side, when you actually, the task is going through all the stages and you know exactly what it is. So the way I work, I have my in tray where I put all the stuff that has to be done. Then I have the to-do, which is the stuff I have to do during the day. And this is also the column which I populate before I go home. Then I have doing. This is basically the stuff I'm sitting with. Then I have the pen, things which I cannot finish because I'm missing some external feedback or something like that. And of course, done. This is a very basic value stream. In some bigger projects with software and so on, when I have some partners, there also come lines like ready for testing, back for fixes and so on, ready to deploy. But again, these columns, they are not categorizations. They symbolize the value stream. So basically, ultimately, the task has to go from here to there. Where do I start with my own work in progress limit? Well, the book says start with 3. If you ask me, 2, 3 max. If I get more, doesn't work. This is also the way how I design my day. If I have a lot of small tasks, I basically don't even try to do bigger things during that day, because a lot of context switching is making me feel tired. So yes, if I have meetings and so on, then I just cram smaller tasks, even if it doesn't really fit with my schedule, because I know no chances on getting anything bigger done that day. Okay, so basically what you're telling to me that just moving the task to done is supposed to actually help me? Actually, yes. If you try Kanban and you finish the task, you push it to done, you're actually going to feel better. Seriously. It works. It really works. I know it sounds so obvious and stupid, but it really works. How do you start in the morning, especially when you have a lot of stress in your stomach? Okay. This is more or less, I answered this in the previous question. Do you remember the thing is you push the task from doing to done. You get the boost there. So basically, when I come to work and I don't know what's happening, I do 2 things. First one is make sure that I have an overview. So if I didn't plan the day before or something else happens, I need some more information, I do everything to get the overview as quick as possible. Once I have that, I pick 1 or 2 tasks which will guarantee me a quick success. Because what I want to do is I want to in the quickest possible way, go from doing to done. 1 or 2 such tasks will warm you up in a very nice way, and the rest of the day will just go in a very nice fashion. That's my idea. Okay, you said something about a value stream and the pen column. What does the pen column mean? The pen column. Well, if you look on typical Kanban advertisements, you will see the basic value stream, which is to do, doing, done. And when I was playing with Kanbans long time ago, before I read the book and so on, I was thinking like, okay, what to do with all the tasks that are actually not done and I can't finish them and stuff like that. And this is where both personal Kanban and of course the GTD came with an idea that, yeah, you need to have a column where you can cram those tasks. But be very careful. This column can very easily become a garbage column. And this is also a column that you have to kind of like program it in your head, that you have to check this column on a regular basis to make sure that you pull the tasks from there so that it actually becomes as small as possible. It is a very good idea also to set up some limits on VIP, on the pen column. So this is what I would recommend doing. And in my case, I do have a limit. If it goes above 10, I start cleaning up there drastically, and some of the tasks simply go back to the in tray. And this is actually happening quite often because a lot of your customers will probably push and tell you that stuff has to be ready for yesterday. And when you're actually ready and you put a lot of work, you will figure out that then in order to finish it up, you need a little bit of feedback, and this is going to take 2 weeks. So yes, you have to be a little bit more realistic. You are not the only one that often has not enough time and has to sleep, sometimes have family on, something like that. So yes, don't make it into a garbage can, and make sure to clean it up. And if things are lingering there too long, just put it back. And also remember, be proactive. You can also contact customers, and this is probably going to help you, especially if people on the other side will think that yeah, you didn't do something right and so on. So a little bit of proactiveness will not kill you here. How do you plan your next day? Well, I try to plan my day before I leave my office. So when I come the next day in the morning, I know exactly what I have to do, because believe me, you're going to waste so much time every morning figuring out, what do I have to do today? So try to plan it in advance. And some people are lucky enough, they can plan it, you know, like on Monday, they can plan the whole week. But make sure you kind of like book spots in your calendar, because this is going to really, really help you achieve much more. And if you don't believe me, watch the first movies I made about writing the obvious stuff down. Do you actually plan your free time? Oh yes, this is actually something new. I started planning my free time because I noticed that I was not actually doing it enough. So planning your free time is a very good idea. And I seriously recommend doing that, because then you will know that this is exactly the free time I planned, and this is the time I'm supposed to use. If I don't use it, then how I'm going to recharge myself. So yes, this is something new for me, and I'm very happy that I actually started doing it. You know what? I tried and I failed. Yes, I also failed multiple times, and believe me, this is probably going to happen. So be prepared also that you'll most likely have to repeat the iteration, slow down, clean up, and so on. But remember, there's one important thing here. Whenever you are on the nth iteration of that process, your ground zero is not on the same level as it used to be. You will always start from a higher altitude, from a higher altitude. So that means you'll actually always go up, which is very important. If you have any questions, because I know that probably some stuff doesn't work and you probably might have questions to the method or stuff that most likely didn't work out, write them down in the comments, because you know, sometimes people that are not in your flow, are completely unbiased, they can come up with some good ideas that might inspire you to change something. And sometimes the small changes can actually mean a lot for the whole thing. Okay, so basically, if that works, I get more time. That means I can do more work, yes? No, this is not what you should do. Basically, your performance will deteriorate. You will not notice it until you completely crash. So no, you're going to get a lot more time. Use that time wisely. Use that time for your whatever free time or anything else that you like to do, the hobby you have neglected in the past 6 months or something like that. But commit to the work. Try to be as efficient during your work time, and you will see this is going to basically help you to get balance back in your life, and it's going to work wonders. Okay, so how about the thing you mentioned, the procrastination stuff? Oh yes, when I got more time on my hands and suddenly other problems started coming up, and one of my biggest issues here was procrastination. It had many different roots and so on, and sometimes it might be also a good idea to talk to a professional about it. But the book I'm going to talk about in a moment, this is where I also kind of like connected the missing steps, and I figured out that actually it is possible, and it's so easy to fix that procrastination problem. So now I have not that many issues with procrastination, and I know how to fight it. And one of the good things that I have heard, if you know a guy called Randall Munroe, he's the guy that made the ex-KCD comic, and he's a former NASA employee. Basically, Randall said in one of the interviews or articles or something like that, he said that, well, when he reaches the procrastination wall, he just reboots his computer. And as stupid as it sounds, it actually works very well. So if you're stuck watching cut pictures and sending memes and doing all other unrelated stuff, reboot your computer and just commit. So we come to the last part, and that's procrastination. As I said, procrastination can come up, and it might be this, it might be something else. Basically, the third book is about yourself. It's the moment when you have to take care, basically, of yourself. In my case, it was procrastination, and I found a book. The problem is the book is only in Polish so far, and this is one of the pluses. If you speak many languages, you're able to get access to some literature and some other resources which are available in other countries first. And the book is actually written by Barbara, and I know Barbara, and I was lucky enough to get actually a signed copy from her. But what I would like to read here is basically, how can you figure out if it's procrastination that is bothering you? So let's figure out if you're a person that procrastinates or not. How can you check it? Well, in a very easy way. If you postpone something and you absolutely don't feel any discomfort because of that, no negative emotions, you're not even stressed or frustrated, then everything is fine. Most likely the tasks that you have, they are not so important for you, or maybe you're just a little bit lazy. You can basically let it go. But if you postpone things often and you do feel or you suffer from a discomfort, for example, by having cramps in your stomach, by having dryness in your mouth, or your heart is racing, that means it's not good. Then it's actually worth taking a look at it, because it might be procrastination. Basically, this book helped me personally to fight my procrastination. I actually managed to do it already while being in the half of it. It really helped me not to postpone things I have to do, and that was a huge productivity booster in my case. So I encourage you, don't read only technical stuff. Remember also about your self-development, and remember that this problem in form of procrastination or something else can appear, and it's always better to be prepared ahead. And the title of the book is When You Postpone and Complain, 102 Ideas on Defeating Procrastination.
Let me be honest, it's impossible to explain both GTD and the Kanban in just 2 videos. What I really wanted to do is to inspire you and show you that it's worth the effort. I also wanted to warn you about the possible side effects that can come up once you choose to define your own day. You won't be always on top, but at least you will have a stable base. Number of days that run you will fall down eventually. If you need to clean up, start immediately. You won't regret it. Be consistent, results will come. And remember, don't modify too many variables at one time, and make sure to take notes of your progress. This episode was shot north of Copenhagen, in a place called Durehø. It's so special now because it's also a mating ground for deer. Yes, that's the coolest bit. You walk around deer, hundreds of them. On one end you will find also an amusement park called Bagen. I did not go there. They have too many good food stands, and to be honest, when presented with churros, I'm simply too weak. Remember, subscribe and comment, and see you in my next movie. Oh, and by the way, I'm changing my format a little bit. Yes, I'm analyzing the data, making progress. See you.